All right. Well, look here. It's the Brain Pimp. Brain Pimp? Yeah, the Brain Pimp, baby. You didn't know? Well, you're about to know. Because if your brain ain't pimping, your whole game's limping. Remember that. Now, down to why we're here. Look here. Cannabis. 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 It's your time, man. It's your time. Now, clearly, I don't expect cannabis to see this for quite some time, so that's cool. But to everybody else who's going to see this, here's what I want you to understand about cannabis. For all of the infinite hate that the nobodies and never could have beens of hip hop want to shoot at cannabis, for everybody who was around and knew what was happening in that scene, in that era, cannabis had the entire rap industry shook. People don't understand that now. That's what makes the whole, what he did with Disaster, what it is. You know, we're going to get to that. But for those of you who don't know who Cannabis is a rapper who broke out in the back end of the 90s. And for most people, first time they heard him and understood what he was on the Firm's album, The Firm, but the song Desperados. Now, if y'all remember The Firm, they were a super group that didn't really go anywhere. Nas, Foxy Brown, As Nature. And on one of those songs, they had this up-and-comer who everybody was talking about, named Cannabis, as in Can I Bust. So they put him on. And they made, somebody made a horrible mistake. They put Cannabis on first. Cannabis is on a track with Nas. He may never get a shot like this again. What Cannabis did on Desperados is insane. How do I maintain thresholds to pain? Walk barefoot across the sun, looking for shade. Who comes up with that? And by the time he was done, like most folks, I just rewound it. It took me like 3 or 4 times before I was finally interested in hearing what came next. Nas just did the hook on his own track and admitted years later, not at the time, but years later, the reason he didn't rap on Desperados was because he didn't want to get outshined. It's a simple matter of when somebody's going, 19 for 21, you don't deny them that they're going 19 for 21, man. Hey, you went 19 for 21. I can't be mad at you. But I'm not going to go 19 for 21, so I'm not going to get out there with you. And that's what he did. The whole thing with LL Cool J, for 20 plus years, I've been lining up with Cannabis on this one. I mean, number one, track for track, yeah. Second round knockout, yeah. Listen to The Return of the Ripper. And what you'll hear is the back third is just his braggadocio. LL Cool J is the Elvis of rap. He knows what he's doing way better than Cannabis knew what he was doing. Lyrically, Cannabis murdered him. Murdered him. Didn't matter. We know what happened, and that's that. But my point is, for all these years, I was always on Cannabis' side about their original issue. And then recently, because this is something that I realized that if I'm going to do YouTube, I got to do YouTube in a way that makes sense to me. See, y'all can look at my apartment. Y'all don't need to see me. Like the old music in the background. Yeah, that's what we're doing today. We're doing that. You can see my apartment. Hey, hey, there you go. Hey, my apartment. There we go. You don't need to see me though. And part of the whole thing about showing you my apartment is today, first time I do this, is that because I'm working a whole something or other, when I finally post all this stuff, I want you to see the difference between day 1 and day 100. I want you to see the difference. Because that's the whole point of what I'm doing YouTube for. YouTube in this moment is my accountability. Shout out to Designer City 2, the folks who made that. I don't want to mispronounce her name. I'll find out later on because I definitely love your product. You will probably not be seeing this anytime soon. But I love your product. I recommend that folks check out the accountability games. They're called simulation games, but they're not really for lonely people. In my case, it's for trying to focus a mind that hasn't been focused for a long time to get more precise. So that's the whole point of this, accountability. I'm going to use this platform and the whole process of just recording whatever the fuck I feel like rambling about today. But I don't need to be your whatever the hell. No, man. See, my whole hustle is getting paid for just being myself. And myself at this moment realized the best way for me to start was on something that I could talk about all day, all night, for weeks. And that's cannabis and the end of insanity. The original lines that LL got offended by were basically, yo, King Arthur, let me borrow that sword on your arm and go kill these fake kings for you. That was what the first line was saying. But when he rewrote it, he rewrote the line and said, yo, I'm such a warrior, I can kill any king with any sword. Oh no, Biz. Oh no. It's a trip to see it's a trip. For all these years, for quarters, damn near, yeah, well, 20 years. 20 years. I've been riding with Biz on the original issue. Biz, you were wrong, dog. As KRS One said, you ain't got to be on the record. Yeah. But what I didn't understand, hold up. The first one, yo, King Arthur, let me borrow that Excalibur off your arm and kill these fake kings for you. That was the way to interpret the first one. Because the microphone on his arm says Mr. Smith. Cannabis ain't Mr. Smith. So he got, what, yo, Mr. Smith, could I borrow that? No. Go on and get him. But as that implies, what? You think Mr. Smith can't kill his own? Can't do his own killing? Is that what you're saying? You saying Mr. Smith can't do his own killing? Mr. Smith needs you to kill him for him. Oh, you the youngster, old time, can't do it no more. Is that what you're saying? You gonna do the killing for me. Boy, you ain't on my record label. You ain't trying to sign under me. You ain't trying to be, what are you doing? That's But when he came back with the second line, I'm such a warrior, I can kill any king with any sword. That's a shock, man. To study cannabis, to be a fan of cannabis, is to admit that you understand why he didn't make it like we all wish he would have. As a man who's an expert in failure, yeah, I understand. And so cannabis is becoming a focus point of a concept, because what broke the fantasy of me being a battle rapper was watching Cannabis in Disaster. And I didn't watch the whole thing because I was going to, and what? He pulled out a notebook. Oh, for those of you who don't know who I'm talking about or whatever, don't watch it. Please don't. But he was in the middle of his third round or beginning or whatever, and he couldn't remember his lines. And he asked his homeboy for a notebook. He brought a notebook because he couldn't remember all of it. He was trying to memorize all his lines. and he didn't have his lines memorized. He stand in the middle of the whole battle reading out the book, and everybody's like, we have never seen that in the history of battles. Ever. 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 Not no men. E. Hart run around doing that. That's women doing whatever they... No, ain't no man doing that, Cannabis. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then Jay Mills made me understand with the thing with Cassidy. Hey, if you just here to get that bag, fine. But if you're serious about getting back into this, then you need to come on in here and take some reps and go on here and sharpen your game back up. You got it. You just got to get it to the point where it's supposed to be for you to be who you really are in this era. The Cassidy hate was so hot, and the Cassidy whatever, all of it, back and forth, just weird. And I've become something of a Twitter. I've become something of a YouTube troll lately. It's weird. I'm on YouTube. I'm getting ready to post this on YouTube at some point. I'm on YouTube. Oh, man, you can see my stuff, the brain pep all over the place. I'm over here doing all this blah, blah, blah. Cassidy, to a limited degree, and Cannabis to a much bigger degree. Because Cannabis is the great what if of our generation. He's the great what if of our generation. And with that, there's always that whole thing about, man, what if, man, if I had been, the whole thing about, back in the 90s, if we could have all, if I could have, not we all, me, if I could have been the general manager of the Portland Trail Blazers, I'd have made it work. Sucks having two starting lineups on one team and there's only one ball. Damn. But I could have fixed them. And so that's the thing about the Cannabis thing, but it's the whole point about he did that. Then a year later, I don't even know what the song was. I'm going to listen to it again. It was pretty good. But it's labeled a disaster dish, and it's not. And apparently it was released a year after the battle, in which Cannabis is just laying it down saying, hey, man, when I was the best, y'all said I wasn't. And now that I just went in for that bag and wasn't ready to get that bag, oh, now it's like everybody who denied I was the best then, now it's like y'all spent all this time, because he pulled out a notebook, man. He pulled out a notebook. Okay. But my point is, I watched the beginning of that battle, and I heard Cannabis pray to Jesus Christ, in the name of Jesus Christ, excuse me. And that warmed my heart to the nth degree. Cool, okay, but this really, okay. Fast forward. And then I hear him invoking sodomite witchcraft on Disaster, because that's Disaster's game. And Cannabis is here to win, so he's got to play by the rules of what it's going to take for him to win. From all reports, his first round was great. The issue was he pulled out okay, you lose the round, but we lost all regard for you. The more you're a fan of Cannabis, the more you understand why he never made it, like we all wish he would have. Then he did a song with Disaster called Battle Buddies. Okay. What's the point about Cannabis? The point is, once upon a time on his way up, he made a first ballot Hall of Famer, Nas, agree without any effort to sing the hook on his own song because he couldn't have Cannabis outshining it. Cannabis had the entire music industry shook, the rap world. And LL didn't want Cannabis to do to him what Rakim did to Big Daddy Kane, Cool G Rap, and all those dudes from the first generation. He made them obsolete. Cannabis didn't have it, but he could have got it. Same as me, same as anybody. My point is, it's time for cannabis to come back. Not the man who goes around and does, no. But the whole concept of, why should we not be the best just because those who are eating aren't as good as us? Cannabis scared Nas off his own track. Cannabis made LL Cool J write a diss to him in the middle of a song that they did together after Cannabis had already done what he did. And if LL had a problem with the whole, yo, King Arthur, let me borrow that sword, he should have said something. But he didn't. So be it. That was Cannabis. Next up, the end of insanity.